Good morning, everybody. PDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, NBA talk. Don't really have huge news, just a very slight rumor that we can run with to give us something to discuss. I hope everybody's having a great morning. It's the last couple of days of my 37th year of life. Got birthday coming up on Thursday. I was telling everybody it was on Friday, didn't check. Woke up this morning, realized it's the 16th, and I'm like, no. Friday's the 19th, I will already be 38. So this is one of those situations where I had a real old man moment yesterday, telling everybody my birthday was a day after it actually is, and didn't check, not even once. Anyway, so laugh at that. I'll take the L. In the meantime, what we got to talk about here, Draymond. Draymond's obviously with the Golden State Warriors, but it's being talked about that the Golden State Warriors are not planning on giving him the max contract that he is likely to want next free agency period for him. So it talks about the Detroit Pistons, his hometown, or he's from Saginaw, of course, but Michigan, trying to get him down there to Detroit and possibly bring him in as a max player because they have cap space right now, and probably will continue to have cap space going forward because most of the players that they got going on right now are guys they just drafted. They have their bird rights, rookie contracts, probably won't be up for extension very soon, so they could probably see themselves maybe adding a piece for the short term. I think Draymond in Detroit makes sense, but Draymond in Detroit on a max contract is a bad contract. They are a young team that needs to keep that money in-house. They got to remain flexible because they're going to need to pay those guys. And if you have Draymond Green on a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal at freaking $30 million or more, somebody's walking. I don't know which one of them kids is going to be. Jalen Duren, could be Cunningham himself, could be Jaden Ivey, could be Sadiq Bey. I don't know who else to consider because they got a lot of young talent as well, even further beyond that. You don't want to lose any of those guys. If I'm Detroit, I want to keep all of those kids together for at least 7 or 8 years. At least. Unless one of them proves themselves not to be what I think they're going to be, which I really don't see that coming, to be honest with you. I think the core of the Detroit Pistons, in my humble opinion, all have a very high floor. From player to player to player to player, I don't see a whole lot of bust potential for any of those guys. Jalen Duren's always going to block shots. He's always going to jump higher than everybody else. And he has the ability to make plays for others. Jaden Ivey, super athletic. Basically a taller version of John Morant that plays the 2-guard spot. Athleticism all day long. Can shoot the ball. Just a freak athlete on top of a very talented offensive player. Right? Who has intangibles that could help him grow on the defensive end as well. And you look at Cade Cunningham's pretty much a complete player with awesome size. Future MVP likely. Like, you can't bring in a max contract when these guys are going to be up for extension. You don't want nothing in the way of keeping these guys on your team, or if having to lose them, being able to trade them for the requisite value that they're going to be worth, which is a damn lot if you ask me. A damn lot. You're going to need that cap space. And if you got Draymond Green on a bad contract, guess what that's going to be? Difficult to move. Difficult to move. Draymond Green, 3 years from now, is going to be difficult to move on a max contract. And that's being kind, man. Dre's going to be difficult to move on a max contract right now if he were on a max contract. I'm not doing that. Draymond Green is a specialty player that works in a system specifically that has won so much that you know for a fact he's grandfathered in as a Hall of Famer. But he wouldn't fit everywhere. There are certain teams in this league that he wouldn't have been good on. Just off the sheer strength that he didn't shoot the ball. Just off the sheer strength of his skill set and certain things that are not involved in that skill set. Yes, he's going to be an asset everywhere, but not a max level asset. I can't say that I see him being a max level asset in Detroit. Absolutely not. Not at this age, not even in the past. No, he's a fantastic guy who's going to help you on both ends of the floor. He's a glue guy, but he has some very, very strong deficiencies that you will have to make up for And Detroit, they don't need to be considering those things at all when they have a young team full of players that are all on the same timeline, all with high upside, high floors. It's just no reason to bring in a vet like Draymond at such a high price. Now, if he comes in as a vet minimum guy for the Detroit Pistons, of course, that's ideal for them. Then you're talking about bringing Dre in as somebody who can help the team. Then you're talking about bringing Dre in as somebody you can slip into the cap and get the most out of while still keeping a very deep team around him. Then you're talking about continuing Dre's reign of championships far beyond Golden State. But if he's signing up for a max contract, he ain't winning no more championships, and he's not even going to be an asset. So I understand wanting to align your pockets. You know what I mean? Timing isn't great for this video because my man got married yesterday, and I thought that the energy was surrounding the whole thing was great. I loved what I saw there. And I just thought of that now. Probably wouldn't have made this video if I had thought of it beforehand. But I think it's fair because we're talking about basketball. And at the end of the day, the business of basketball is on the forefront of everyone's mind because it's affecting how teams are put together in a way that maybe it hadn't before. We have a whole stalemate in this offseason that is, made it so that this is probably the worst offseason we've had in the modern era for us modern basketball fans. So with that being said, I don't think it makes any sense for any team to be taking on contracts such as that. Absolutely not. I think it's a risk in the past when you take a player that age with the deficiencies he has and give him a max contract. I think that's ill-advised even in the past. But going forward, it's a poison pill. It's a poison pill. So I know Dre is trying to lobby himself to get a max contract, and granted, from Golden State, he's grandfathered in terms of earning that. He's already a legend there. They should retire his jersey, Hall of Famer. If he wants max money, it's because he's deserving of because of what he's input into the Golden State Warriors legacy. That's something he's earned respectfully already. But that doesn't mean that they're obligated to match what it is that he's asking for. Just because they, quote unquote, in my humble opinion, owe him that, doesn't mean that they actually owe him that or are going to give him that. And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to lobby himself into a position to get that just like anyone else would do. Make no mistake, what Draymond and his representation are trying to do is logical and it's fine, it's advised, it's everything I would try to do. You try to get yourself the most money at the end of your career. You try to put yourself in a position to use what it is that your resume is to lobby yourself the best possible exit contract, which is what this would essentially be. Now, granted, like I said, he could sign as a minimum here and there, but this is his last big contract, whatever it would be, in theory. So, yeah, they're playing it the way they're supposed to. If we can find someone else who would give us a big contract, or he would even consider giving us a big contract, it's most important we bring that back to Golden State as leverage for ourselves to get what it is we want or something close to it. At least match what it is that they may be offering. And so that's the only way to play it. But as far as those who are looking into the situation and saying, should this take place from a Detroit standpoint, or maybe some Detroit fans who are excited about Dre maybe coming home and don't understand the cap ramifications of what it actually means for their team, that's kind of what I want to help with, is help us understand what to want. It's not as simple as saying, ooh, I know who that player is. Yeah, he did a bunch of great stuff. Bring him in. Because Father Time is real. The cap is restrictive in terms of putting together enough talent to make your team good if you got a guy too expensive. And all of that stuff needs to be understood by modern and common fans alike, so that we can all come together and have a educated understanding about what to want involving our favorite teams and favorite players. So that's ultimately what my goal is. I think that Draymond Green's game and his level could be argued. If somebody wants to argue that he should still get that kind of money, I'll listen. But I'm not going to be able to agree with that at all because of just where he's at in his career and all the stuff that we've already said. What Detroit's goals appear to be in their timeline. That's not a real move. That's just a leverage play. But if he were to find himself in Detroit, it would be a great story. I mean, it would be a great story because you know how much that area means to everybody from there, and how much pride they take in the Pistons and just the overall state. And that's the thing. It's like certain places people can be from, you're gonna know they're from there. And other people from other places, maybe they'll mention it here and there. That's it. When it comes to Michigan, everybody that I know is from Michigan, they make sure we know they're from Michigan. You understand what I mean by that? Like sometimes guys from Chicago, he's like, oh, he's from Chicago. Oh, dang, I didn't know he's from Chicago. Or guys from LA. Oh, yeah, he is from out here. That's right. It's one of those. But dude from Michigan? Got a tattoo, say Flint. Every time he opened his mouth, he telling you something about Michigan. Or something of that nature. They surround themselves with people from the state, if they're from the state. Like, that's just how they roll. So I think it's a big deal, or maybe even a bigger deal than the average, when a Michigan guy go back to a Michigan spot. Whether it be Michigan State, Michigan, the Wolverines, obviously all of them. Detroit Pistons, Detroit Tigers, any of the Detroit stuff is always it's centered and understood that that's their person. And so, with that being said, I would love to see Draymond Green put on Pistons uniform before it's over with. I'd love to see that. You know what I'm saying? That's a big, huge deal for him and his family, I'd imagine. So, just after all of this is done with Golden State, if he doesn't retire with Golden State Warriors, a Warrior, I do believe that putting on a Piston uniform probably should be a good thing to see there. Now, I think Draymond's gonna have a lot of suitors once his price comes to a point that people can agree to. I don't think he's gonna have too many places that he can't sign on to. I think the Lakers have been rumored for a while, of course, because his brother Bron's here. So you have to take a look at that as well. But I think Detroit would be the way to go if he could find himself into a situation that sounds like a feel-good storyline type of situation if he has to leave GS Dub, which I do think is probably going to have to happen, man. It's going to have to happen. Because as much as you love the sentiment of Golden State keeping everything together and doing what they got to do for the core of the previous era, the truth is Jonathan Kuminga's here, Wiseman's here, Moody's here, Poole's here, and I'm sure they got a couple other guys too that they're going to have to consider giving all the money they have to going forward, or letting them go to keep the core intact. I don't know what Golden State's going to do there. I don't assume I have their plan in mind, but if it comes down to between if I'm going to keep older Draymond or making sure Kuminga and Wiseman front court is straight and making sure Poole is locked up for a long time, there's no conversation to be had. That's not even worth talking about. I'll tell you this, though. The rumors of Jordan Poole leaving Golden State have begun. They've begun. I read something yesterday that said he and Paolo Banchero worked out together. Not worked out, but did a pro-am game together yesterday, balled out or something like that. Maybe yesterday, the day before, I'm not sure. But that is starting to rumble. Those two are cool. They're close. And it seems like that's what the rumor mill wants to start spreading around. So with that being said, clearly Poole's representation is preparing him for his max level extension, which I don't think Golden State should even consider not giving him. Whatever the money Jordan Poole's supposed to get in his first contract should be given to him without any hesitation. That is a superstar waiting to happen. I'm not saying he's a superstar right now, but his game, the way that he plays on the offensive end, for within the confines of what it is that he does, he's elite. Elite. I look at him as like another version of Tyler Hero. Those guys are doppelgangers. I kid you not. I think they're pretty much the same player. And I really, really think Jordan Poole's level is going to take off even from where I think Hero is headed. I think Poole's upside may be actually higher than that. And both of them dudes are going to be ridiculous. So, again, Golden State, we can flirt around with keeping the core together, and it might make for a wonderful story. but you had better be very sure that you don't think these kids are going to turn into what they're going to be. Um, or you better be sure that you don't want to keep them together, for whatever reason. And even if you don't, I still don't think choosing Dre and those guys at a max level is more beneficial than making sure you keep that young timeline together. I don't care if you keep these young kids or trade them for some different ones. Don't go backwards in time, I guess is what I would say. Golden State. But yeah, Orlando and Poole, Paolo Banchero. Once you bring a player like Paolo in, you become really relevant. Like, immediately. All it takes is one guy to come in and change the frame of your entire team. And I think that has happened in Orlando. Now people are looking at Orlando saying, okay, they got the Paolo piece in place. And they got that beautiful locale that is super underrated in this league. I just want to say that. Orlando is a market that doesn't get the respect it needs as a destination of choice for millionaires. No sales tax and paradise everywhere. Now, I'm not saying I've ever been there, but what I can say is guys be going to other places instead of there. And for just locale alone, it's kind of been a head scratcher my whole career, to be completely honest with you. Maybe it's because I've just never been there. Maybe if I went there, I'd understand, it's not. But like from what I've seen my whole life, all the pictures and stuff, the resorts and all that, Disney and all that, that should be like maybe the 5th most coveted place to live in the NBA. And guys don't go there at all. So I think the Magic are in this business of changing that. I think they've been making some really good key quality moves over the last, say, 6 years to kind of put themselves in a position to have length and kind of have some nice young talent that they can believe in. And now they brought in their big boy piece, in my opinion. Now they brought in the guy. So from here, it's just about making sure they keep everybody's bird rights. And then if they can add a piece that maybe they didn't draft, like a Jordan Poole, to get them over the hump, they can get back to where they were in 2009. And so I don't think that's crazy. Obviously, they're far away from that now. But the Paolo piece is in place, and I think he is an A1. I think he's an A1 offensive guy. So that, when you start thinking about why would Jordan Poole consider going to Orlando, because Orlando's not going to be the Orlando of right now in the future. They're not going to be that. They're heading upwards in a very, very serious way with the players that they just picked up over the last 2 years in this draft. So that's why that's happening, because Orlando's preparing to be the next Detroit, next OKC, and all these other young teams with a loaded talent of young players. So that's what it is, man. That's what I see there. Keep an eye on that. All right, I think that's enough. Golden State Warrior rumors, basically. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer. We're almost at the end of this long, dreadful wait. I think hopefully with everything being, shaken up over there in Brooklyn, with the news coming out and all these different things that KD is not retiring, maybe that can kind of shift somebody's thinking a little bit to kind of get back to the drawing board and put some more trade on the table. Maybe Golden State solves their issue with their young players by throwing them on the table after all and getting KD. Then that can make it so that they don't have as much to consider when it's time to keep that core. Now you can give Dre his money. Don't even think about it. Now you don't have the problem of the kids, but instead you have something that makes sense for your team because KD's in place. So yeah, now you're giving away all those guys, but you don't have to worry about negotiating with any of them either. If they want to go to Orlando or go to Detroit or wherever they want to go, you got KD on par, on line to retire with all the rest of these guys in that timeline. And then from there, trying to figure out how that works. Now, you done gave away all your picks and your young youthful players, so you're starting from scratch without any assets. You'll be where Detroit was when they got Blake Griffin. That's what Golden State's future looks like if they trade away everything for KD, in my opinion, post Steph, Clay, Dre, and KD retiring. So what that actually means is, to keep that from happening, you're likely trading one of those guys before they retire. So that's what that's going to cost you giving away the kids. Ultimately, having to part with those guys later on anyway, when they're probably too old to help you and you have no flexibility. Yeah, no, I like the path with the kids better. No trade for KD. Not if I'm Joe Lacob. I'm not doing that. I hate the path forward. Yes, it gives me a timeline that makes sense for the old guys, but then what? I find myself wishing I had Jordan Poole, Kuminga, and all those guys, and they end up being all-stars. No, you don't like that. The only reason why the Lakers didn't hate that is because we won a championship with AD. But otherwise, we hate what happened with our kids. Everybody's everywhere but here. I don't think that's a good plan for Golden State. No. You shift out of the Steph Curry era by keeping Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, and Poole in place if possible. And you never skip a beat. Those guys may even win a championship themselves. Another one, that is. So, that's what I got to say, man. I think I'll leave it at that. That is my talk for the morning. If anything happens, of course, I'll be right back at y'all. But for the time being, I bid you adieu. BDF. Peace.